Welcome to the Game Forum podcast. This is our first episode. I'm Zach.
And I'm Lindsay. This is our first episode of the extended forum, so we're going to start off with going a little more in depth with some of the games we've been playing this week. Zach, what have you been playing?
Yep. So I've been playing Greedfall. Played about 3 hours of that. It's pretty good. It's I guess I'm going to keep it spoiler free. I don't want to have too many spoilers with this. It's pretty cool. It's from Spiders. They made Bound by Flame, which is I love that game. They made two other games, Mars Warlogs and then the Technomancer, and they weren't that great. I've been playing a little bit of that, some Red Dead Online. Just recently got into that. You've been playing that.
I've been playing a good bit of Red Dead Online lately. I really like the single player in Red Dead, but the online, when it first came out, there was like nothing to do.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty barren.
Anytime you did anything in the game, you were instantly killed by some crazy person running around shooting everybody. Like the whole area is a team deathmatch, and I mean, to be honest, there wasn't anything to do, but they've added in a lot of different roles. They've added in like collectibles you can find, stuff you can work toward to like level up and actually get that actually mean something and do something.
Yeah.
They've added in, I mean, it's almost like playing the single player with friends and multiplayer.
Oh, yeah. They've added more single player missions too, because it launched with this like, 4 missions, I think?
There's just a couple real quick ones, but I mean, they've added in a lot of stranger quests you can do.
Yeah.
And even with some of the other stuff, I think they've optimized it more for animals and NPCs, because I remember going into the online mode originally and like going around, I'm like, where the hell are all the animals at? Like, there's nothing to hunt or anything here. But I mean, all that stuff has been added back in. It's a much fuller, richer experience.
Yeah. Speaking of rich experiences, Borderlands 3 is no controversy at all. We've both been playing that. How long have you played?
I've probably played maybe 8 to 10 hours. I've been playing it with my wife, so I've been kind of limited on how long I can play. It's something we've always played the games together. We played the second one, third one, or we've been playing the third one, but the pre-sequel. So we always kind of do those together.
Yeah.
But what are your impressions of it so far?
I don't know. It's kind of lukewarm. I think I'm like almost 28 hours into the game. I have to be so close to finishing it, and there's a lot of I don't like the writing. It's just not funny, but it's also like Borderlands 2 came out and it was awesome. It was funny, but it was unique. It was like, oh man, this is a huge game. It was the writing was witty, the characters were witty. So when Borderlands 3 came out, 7 years later, you're thinking of like, oh, okay, it's gonna be just as good as Borderlands 2. But like, so many games have come out since then, and the writing, it's like it's a direct sequel to Borderlands 2. But it should have came out in 2014, 2015. So it feels a little out of place. But when it comes to the gameplay, the improvements they've made are huge. You know, you can mantle. Like, you go back to Borderlands 2, you can't slide, you can't mantle, and it sucks.
I definitely love a lot of the stuff they brought to the combat in the game. I really like the weapon customizations and character customizations that they've brought into it. I do have to say, though, I agree with you. I think the writing is just kind of a lot more miss than hit on this one.
Yeah.
And I get they made the villains annoying and like they're supposed to be, but I can't stand them. They are freaking awful. I'm like, I just want to shoot them in the face. If that's what I'm supposed to be motivated to do, then they have succeeded. But I liked Handsome Jack as a villain way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah. It's like Handsome Jack was like, oh, this guy's evil, but he's like near the end of, I guess, Borderlands 2. Spoilers if you haven't played Borderlands 2, you kind of like feel bad for Handsome Jack, because what was it? Angel was his daughter, and he had her captive, and then you kill her or sacrifice her, and then it's like, oh man, this guy, he was dad, you felt some sympathy for him, and it was really funny. I mean, he had a what was it? He had a diamond pony.
Yeah, he had a very like twisted sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like a very dark sense of humor, and I appreciated that. It
And
was,
like the Calypso twins in 3 are just they're just one-sided cannon fodder. Just like
Yeah.
oh okay, they're evil. We get it. They're really annoying, but I guess that's the point because the whole like they're streamers and they say what was it like, share, and obey.
yeah.
Like that's really clever, but it's also like oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I get what they were going for, but I don't think it landed the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, it was just a couple years too late. The technical side of it is a little rough, but I mean, I guess what are you gonna do? The game probably just wasn't ready. They should have done with like 6 more months of just polishing it, fine tuning it.
Well, like I said, I don't think the combat is the issue. I think a lot of the writing and character development has been the issue. But I guess getting into the last game I've been playing this week, Tropico 6 came out this week. I really like Tropico 5. I do think it is a tad on the hard twitchy side. Like you really got to play the game and kind of get a feel for it that the tutorials and the game doesn't really tell you. And I'm already getting a lot of that feeling out of Tropico 6. I like the user interface a lot better. I think it'll be a lot faster once I get through the scroll wheel. So I like that, and they've added in a lot more buildings. They've added in a lot more stuff to do. But on the bad side, everything takes so much more money now. Like now, you could research things in the last game, and when you get to the next age, you could build it. You just had to have the money to build it. But now, you have to buy blueprints for something. And then if you want to upgrade something else, you might have to buy blueprints for something else. So there's so much more buying stuff and so much more things locked behind your economy. It makes it a much harder grind to just get the game going. I'm also... it's much more island based where you can build bridges and tunnels and stuff like that, and that's cool, but the islands you get to work with seem to be a lot smaller than the islands you had in the first one. So instead of taking a concept and expanding upon it, I kind of feel like this is limiting you more and forcing you to have to go into other areas. It kind of reminds me of like SimCity, where like some of the older SimCity games, you could put everything in like one giant city, and then when they did the relaunch of the newer SimCity, you were like confined to this itty bitty city, and you were supposed to make a lot of cities in a region and connect them, except none of that worked. But I do think it is working better in Tropico. It's just I get that same kind of feel, like they scaled it down to try and push a new game mechanic.
Yeah. Tropico 6, is that a full $60 release?
Yes.
Oh god.
Yeah. I got it a little bit. I think it's 10% off if you're a PlayStation Plus member.
Oh, okay.
So that was nice. And I do plan on playing it a lot. Just that's kind of my first impressions on it. I'll probably do a more in-depth review on it here soon.
Yeah. I've played some of 5. I think, wasn't that a free PlayStation Plus game?
Yeah, it was one of the free PlayStation Plus games,
Yeah.
Maybe like a year ago or something like that.
I played it. It was too difficult. I couldn't
It
understand it.
definitely has a very steep learning curve. They really want you to push certain things to succeed, and if you can't figure that out, the game does not hold your hand and doesn't really tell you anything of how to help with that. So it's fun once you get used to it, but it's got a very steep learning curve. I guess getting out of the games we've done for the week, let's talk about some other things we've seen in the week. The new trailer for Jedi Fallen Order just came out.
It looks awesome.
I've been very excited for that game. This trailer continues to make me very excited for it. I'm really interested to see what all kinds of stuff they do. It's given me a lot of feeling of like the Force Unleashed games,
but good.
Yeah, like toned down a bit. Like you're not like throwing star destroyers or anything. You're like a Padawan.
They gotta have it realistic, right?
Yeah. um, but no, I'm definitely interested to see where all they're taking this. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I do want to see exactly how they end up rolling this into the overall story.
Yeah.
Um,
The tutorial I've been hearing is like pretty lengthy, so it's like the combat seems to be like complicated and actual like there's more than just like your button pressing. You can actually it looks like it's more Dark Souls than Force Unleashed, which is awesome. Hopefully they can nail that with the story, with the open world exploration or the open world. Hopefully it's meaty, but it's got some.
well, from what I've seen, it's not just you're gonna go around and hack and slash stormtroopers. They're gonna have like more experienced stormtroopers with like vibro swords and stuff that can fight back.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have like probably boss fights with inquisitors, and I kind of wonder. I definitely think in this time period they're gonna have Darth Vader in there. He was kind of like heading up the inquisitors and hunting down all the Jedi.
There was a screenshot that looked like it was showing something like a Darth Vader's castle. Like I don't know if that's hinted at in a book or if that's part of the extended universe, but it looked like there was a castle, and a lot of people it looked like it's pointing towards like a Darth Vader castle. Like you could go and explore it, or Darth Vader might be in the game, or at least in some form.
I wonder too, since this character is obviously going to be a pretty strong Jedi by the end of the game. I could maybe see him beating an Inquisitor. What do you think the chances are of the last boss being Darth Vader, and it's a fight you can't win, and the main character dies at the end of the game?
That would be pretty cool.
I think that would be a really cool twist to do. So I would really like to see something like that. Like you finally get strong enough. You've been getting get the crap kicked out of you by these Inquisitors the whole game. You're finally strong enough. Maybe you kill an Inquisitor, and you're like, "Yeah, we're gonna start the rebellion. We're gonna do all this stuff." And then Darth Vader comes in, and is like, "Nope," and then ends up killing you right there. And you're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, that would be intense. That would be pretty cool. Speaking of other things that are intense and cool, The Last of Us Part 2 had a trailer that came out a couple of days ago. This game, I don't even know where to begin. It comes out in a couple months. It comes out February 2020. It looks incredible. It's supposed to be like the biggest game they've ever made. It's the reveal trailer they showed at E3. It looked like Joel. He was there. You could hear his voice, but it was very like. It looked like he wasn't really there. It looked like he might have been dead, or at least a vision or some sort. And then this trailer, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, here he is. He's definitely alive, and with Ellie." But they had that tease of her going into that basement, and then we don't know if it was the girl. I think her name's Dina, or if it's Joel. And it's like, I don't want to see any more trailers from this game. Like, leave it at this.
They definitely do not need to spoil this game, and I think they're going to do a good job because they've always been a very story-focused developer.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see any spoilers that are going to ruin the story or anything. But I also noticed in the trailer there's a lot of editing going on.
Yeah.
Because she's in one section, she turns and says, "Oh, you're here," but she's outside under an overpass. And then it's Joel, and he's inside in a house. And I'm like, that is totally not the same part of the game. They're trying to mess with you there.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So I'm very interested to see what they do. If y'all haven't played the first Last of Us game, I think it's going to be the free PlayStation Game of the Month in October. Highly recommend picking it up.
Yes.
One of the best single-player story experiences you can play.
Yeah, if you have a PS4 and you do not have The Last of Us or haven't played it, play it. It's one of the best single-player stories out there. There's a couple that have come close. Maybe there's a couple that might be better. It's incredible. The story is awesome. It has not companion. I don't know they follow you. You have to protect them.
Oh yeah.
And it's it does it well. It's
like
not like annoying.
essentially like an AI companion where you're leading the mission.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get to pick between whose perspective you are.
Yeah.
So like in some sections you might be Joel and you have to go out and fight a lot of guys and go through this section, and Ellie might be sneaking around the rafters trying to get to something that he can't fit to.
Yeah.
Or you could choose the other way around and do the sneaky part while he goes around and kills people.
Yeah. It's really awesome. Came out 2013 on the PS3. It's been remastered, obviously, for the PS4. Still holds up fairly well for a game
It was
that's
definitely
old.
one of the most graphically intense PlayStation 3 games that came out, and it came
Yeah.
out toward the very end of its life cycle.
Yes. And so it's kind of, I guess, poetic that the Last of Us Part 2 is coming out near the end of the PS4 life cycle. I'm assuming it's the end of the PS4. They could totally just keep the PS4 going along with the PS5.
I think they probably will have a coexistence for a couple years because, I mean, the PlayStation 3 had a good bit of overlap with the PlayStation 4. And, God, the PlayStation 2 had, like, nearly an overlap with the PlayStation 4. It lasted so long.
Yeah, I think, a couple of years ago, they stopped finally making PS2s.
That's because it was so huge in Asia, mainly.
Yeah. What else? So, like, with PS4, I mean, you got to think, like, they have over 100 million consoles out there. You know, they're not going to want to, like, give up that for a PS5 when you got to think, like, they're only going to sell a couple million, you know, in the first month. Like, they got to release games, you know, for the PS4 and for the PS5. You know, whether or not they have it like a discount to where if you buy one, you get the other one for cheap, or if you buy the PS5 one, you get the PS4 one for free. That's going to be really interesting to see what they actually turn into, you know, especially with the next gen.
I'm very interested to see how they're going to do the cross-play too, because with the architecture being said, it's going to be a lot more similar, especially over that little bit of overlap. Maybe you could buy a PlayStation 4 game and download it and play it on your PlayStation 5,
Yeah.
but it might not be quite as good graphically as the PlayStation 5 version.
Yeah.
So maybe the textures and the environments render in like 1080 if you have the PlayStation 4 version, even if it's on the PlayStation 5. But if you buy the PlayStation 5 version, maybe it renders it in 4K.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they had like a patch that you can download if you have a PS4 version of the game on the PS5, and you could just download the patch and it. I don't know the text if it'll actually run as well as like a disc in the PS5, but that would be pretty cool if you could just download an update and, you know, even.
I would love to see a lot of games do that kind of stuff. And I think from what Sony's been saying, they haven't really confirmed anything, but essentially to where your whole library would be accessible, and they're saying, or at least hinting at, that they might even go back and have all PlayStation games be playable.
That would be nuts.
Yeah, that would be insane. I would freaking love that. There's a lot of old like PlayStation like 2 and 3 games I would love to be able to download and play again.
Oh yeah, there's so many. The PS2 had so many games that were unique that were on. They were just like, what was it, Mr. Mosquito? Did you ever play?
I didn't ever play that one, but I saw a lot of footage from it. It looked funny.
And it's just like that game came out on the PS2. It was a physical release. It was a real thing that you can buy and you can play, and like stuff like that would never be touched by Sony today. And like that would be so cool to have that library.
And see, like one of the games I had the most fun with like years ago was Micro Machines Racers, and you just raced around like these little micro machines, and the whole levels were designed around like you're the scale of a micro machine, so you could be driving around like a kitchen or like a construction site or all sorts of stuff. I think I paid $5 for the game like from GameStop like years ago. And they put out a newer version a couple years ago, and me and a lot of my friends who played the older one were excited, but it just wasn't as good. I'm like, if I could download that older one on a PlayStation 5, I probably would.
Yeah, no, that would be nice to have these old games. Even with like, God, I guess we sound like we're PlayStation enthusiasts. We haven't even talked about Xbox. Like with Xbox, they have their backwards compatibility, which goes all the way down to the original Xbox, and it's crazy that they just did it Like they just updated the firmware of the Xbox One, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, it can play 360. Yeah, it can play Xbox OG Xbox games, and it's like, what is Sony doing? I mean, I guess
Well, Sony had a lot of issues because the PlayStation 3 had
that
such a
cell
different
processor.
architecture. The
Yeah.
PlayStation 4, they were not compatible like at all.
Yeah,
So I think they've been trying to develop something to bridge that gap in coding.
yeah,
So I heard that they had filed some patents for it. It's just we're just gonna have to wait and see whether or not they decide to use those patents.
yeah. I think like you can't even properly emulate on PC, like PS3 games on PC. Like there's footage of I think Uncharted 1, 2, or 3, probably 1, running on a PC, and it was like 5 frames a second because it can't even emulate properly because of what the PS3 had under its hood. So hopefully they could figure that out. If they could at least stream it, that'd be fine, and then we can download like PS1 or PS2 games, even if it's just a couple of them. That'd be at least a good start.
So I guess doing a little bit of future predicting, I know the PlayStation VR has done really well for PlayStation, and I've been hearing a lot of rumors that PlayStation 5 will have a VR almost integrated into it where you won't have to have that extra box. Do you think Microsoft is going to try and get into the VR game with their next console? Because not Xbox, but Microsoft itself has developed a lot in augmented reality.
Yeah.
Kind of the same kind of technology the Kinect had, and it is very advanced and very impressive, but they haven't really been seeming to implement that hardly at all in this generation to the Xbox.
Yeah.
Do you think the unpopularity of the Kinect has killed off their drive to try and innovate in VR, or do you think that maybe seeing Sony doing really well with the PlayStation VR might motivate them to try it again? What are your thoughts?
So the HoloLens was that augmented reality type thing that they had. They also had something called a LumaRoom, which did you know what that is? Did you
I
hear about
haven't
that?
heard of that. I've only seen the HoloLens.
It was like a projector that you can have, like let's say in the back of the room, projecting towards the TV screen, and it would
yes, I did
yeah,
see
it would
that.
turn your room into like the
bigger screen.
Yeah, it was weird, and like that was supposed to be a big deal. Nothing's come of it. I haven't really heard anything from HoloLens. I know Minecraft is doing some pretty cool stuff with that. But I think with Sony focusing on VR, I think Microsoft is taking that step towards streaming. They got Project xCloud. It's supposed to be in beta, I think, sometime this year. So it seems like they're kind of stepping out first with streaming us, other than Google Stadia. And yeah, I think Google Stadia is the only other one so far. And so
but the PlayStation is the PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
And they actually signed that contract with Microsoft
yeah,
to essentially use Microsoft services for the PlayStation Now service. So they're going to use the infrastructure Microsoft has already developed so that they can essentially have their own PlayStation Now thing expanded. So they're actually going to be working together a little bit, which I think is interesting. I think they're mainly going to be doing that to try and keep Google out. But I also don't think either one of them is taking it particularly seriously, because if Microsoft is willing to let Sony use their service they've already developed, yeah, that's going to make them some money, but they can't be too serious about it, because, I mean, I could not see PlayStation letting, the Xbox store on the PlayStation.
no, I don't think so.
So, they have to be looking at the numbers and going, okay, this is not a big enough thing that we're gonna really lose any money on by, because, I mean, Xbox could have said no, and that would have put Xbox's streaming service over the PlayStation streaming service, but they didn't.
Yeah. But now, if Xbox were to release, like, the Game Pass, or maybe even, like, some exclusives on, like, a Sony console, if they took a cut from that, that would still, like, be more of a profit, because, like, if there's 100 million PS4s, and they release Gears of War 5 on the PS4, even if they're taking a cut, getting, like, $20, $30 of that, that's still, like, a huge bonus that they can add in, especially if they do, like, HD collections. So it would be interesting, especially with games becoming more of a streaming focus, if they do like branch out and be like, well, we'll just put Game Pass on PlayStation, and PlayStation can put PlayStation Now on Xbox, because there was the rumors of Xbox Live is coming to Switch, but there was a rumor of the Game Pass coming to Switch. It hasn't been brought into fruition yet, but it was a rumor. It's possible. It could be interesting having, playing Xbox games on your Switch, and so it would be really interesting to see what could happen when it comes to in the matter of 5 years, there could be 12 to 20 different streaming apps through developers and publishers.
Well, that's one thing I'm kind of afraid of too.
Yeah.
Instead of being able to just say, okay, I want this game, I want to purchase it outright, you might be trapped into being, okay, well now I have to pay a monthly fee to play this game I like, but then I have to pay another monthly fee for this one. I kind of see the gaming service going the way of the video streaming services. It started with Netflix. And everyone's like, okay, that's fine. We don't care. You can have all our shows. We'll just pay you. We'll get a little extra money.
Yeah.
And then all these studios are going, oh wow, Netflix is making a lot of money. Why do we have our shows on Netflix when we could do our own streaming service?
Yeah.
And now you see, Hulu, Amazon Video, like CBS. Nearly every cable channel has their own streaming thing. You got HBO Go. Disney bought a controlling stake in Hulu, but decided not to put all their content on Hulu. They decided to make another streaming service called Disney Plus. So now Disney's going to have revenue from Hulu and Disney Plus. So that was an active decision to not consolidate under Hulu, but to keep Hulu as one thing and then make an entirely new thing. So Netflix will be losing all the Disney and Marvel shows soon. I'm just kind of worried that kind of model will find its way into the gaming environment, to where Ubisoft will have their pass, to where EA will have their pass, Sony will have theirs, Xbox will have theirs. They'll all be fine.
Yeah, and so like with Hulu, I think it has kind of a collection of different services or different channels. They kind of all come together. It would be pretty cool to see if there was a cartel of just multiple services of video games, like we maybe like EA, Activision, THQ, any other service. They all kind of like combine, like, hey, Google or Sony or Microsoft, like they're taking a big part of the plate. Why don't we all come together for like one low fund? And so like for $20 or so, you could have like 4 different platforms all under one subscription. That'd be interesting to see, but then again, it's still going to be so complicated if you got like 12.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a survival of the fittest kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
we're going to see a lot of different ones split out, and if they can't make the money they need to, then they're going to have to roll back in under another one. So let's say EA does EA Access or something, and it doesn't generate them the money they want. It might be more beneficial to just say, okay, Sony and Microsoft will just pile in with you guys.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. Maybe not fun. I don't know. But yeah, so I think Microsoft has come out and said that the next console is coming out next year, or the holiday 2020. I don't think Sony's actually said anything about the PS5. They've hinted at it, but I don't think they've hinted at a release date or a release window, as far as I know.
I haven't seen anything yet. I do think that Microsoft is going to try and get the jump on Sony. They typically try and release their consoles first.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that trend continues.
Yeah. Hopefully Sony, they did not have a PSX last year. They didn't do E3 this year. Hopefully they do PSX this year, at least some sort of big event or a big state of play, because they could totally just tease it and then say February 2020 is where they're gonna do the full reveal, which would be similar to the PS4 because it was revealed in February 2013 or 2012, I think. So that'd be a cool hey, here's they can come out first, come out swinging, here's the console, here's what it can do. Maybe not what it looks like. Maybe not the price. They might save it for E3. I don't know. So, and then Xbox will probably follow suit. Maybe Xbox will be first. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I definitely think that Sony and Microsoft both seem to be playing a game of chicken. They each want each other to say something first.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be the first to have the other one respond.
Yeah.
And especially after the terrible rollout of this last Xbox, I think Microsoft is really trying to play it close to the chest.
Yes.
Because they do not want another mess up like that. Because the Xbox 360 was definitely beating the PlayStation 3, and it was their ball to drop, and they dropped it right in their fans' faces.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
I mean, that's why I think they've bought like 5, 6, 7 studios. They were like, we're going to have these games covered. That's why they spent all the money to do that. And it was looking like Sony or PlayStation was kind of dropping the ball. They weren't playing well with crossplay.
They did not want crossplay at all.
They were kind of like, oh, no, we're up top. We want to do what we want to do, but
the Xbox did the same thing when they were on the top. The bottom one says, "Oh, let's do crossplay. That way, we can share." And the number one player's like, "No, we don't want to do that. We want to keep our number one spot."
Yep. Luckily, it looks like they're backing down and they're allowing crossplay. There's the rumors of the backwards compatibility, so it seems like Sony might be making the right choices, and they've come out and said that they've hinted at least Mark Cerny has come out and said he basically made the PS4 and he's going to be working on the PS5. He's come out and said, that it's going to be more pointed towards the hardcore gamers, the hardcore audience, which could be a niche group of people, but that's also the type of people that Sony needs to go for. So the people that like God of War, The Last of Us, Uncharted, like Bloodborne, those are people play those games because it's on a PlayStation console. And so Xbox, I think their best option is to branch out and go everywhere. Because if they're not selling exclusives to get the console, they can at least sell the exclusives everywhere, but have it under Xbox Game Pass subscription, which it's still an exclusive. It's still going to their, they're still profiting the money, in their pockets. It's not they're not spreading it.
I just do not want to see anything about it being a media device and how you can watch TV on it. Xbox, please do not do that again.
Yes.
This is a gaming console. Most TVs can play everything. That's not why people buy a game console.
Yeah.
They buy it to play games.
Yeah. No more 30 to 45 minutes of sports and TV in the middle of video games at a video game conference.
Well, that's what they started the conference off with.
Yeah.
I mean, that was their whole singular focus. Whoever they used to poll to see what people wanted, that company should be shut down.
Yeah.
That was not what people wanted.
Whoever was the head of Xbox or whatever during that, I think he's gone. I think
he was replaced.
Yeah, he was replaced with Phil Spencer, who is just killing it right now. Video games with more video games on top of video games. He's allowing Cuphead and I think Ori and the Will of the Wisp they're both, one of them is Cuphead's already on the Switch, but the rumor is that Ori I think is gonna come to Switch, or at least it's already been announced, I believe. And so that's crazy. But then on the flip side, Banjo is gonna be in the new Smash game, or he already is. So it's they're already playing nice, and so it's Xbox is doing what it needs to survive, and it may not be the same format as what Sony's doing, but I think that'll work. So that way we got hardcore games, and then we got Xbox everywhere.
Because I know the new Call of Duty is going to be crossplay too. Even the beta was crossplay.
Yeah, and it worked well. It worked really well. And I think, did they say it was cross save? I know Destiny is cross save. You can take that anywhere, but I'm not sure about Call of Duty. I'm assuming it will be cross save because it's linked to an Activision account.
Probably.
But it's crossplay. It worked well. I mean, it ran fine. At least the beta did. So we'll see how the game, performs when it's out. But is there anything else we should cover?
I can't remember anything else off the top of my head.
Yeah.
For this week.
Yeah, we just kind of first little podcast talking about some stuff that's relevant right now, what we've been playing, some trailers. We'll probably get a we'll get a format for this eventually. Right now,
We're gonna try and start putting out one review, one of our standard videos, and this extended forum every week.
yes,
If y'all are listening to this on one of the podcasts, come check out our YouTube channel.
Yep.
We're the Game Forum on YouTube. And I guess we will see you guys later.
yep. Thanks for tuning in. See you.
All right. Bye.